Now for some trading ideas for the day and how the result season has panned out. Does it give any, fundamental buy calls or sell calls? For all those questions, we are joined by a band of experts. Dr. cknarayan, MD of Growth Avenue, join us now. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen. Well, Dr. Narayan, what's the Nifty telling you? Last time around, March 3rd, when a rate cut did come, the market topped out, and that is still green in the market's memory, in traders' memory. What happens today?
Well, I think it would be fair to say that 25 bips rate cut is probably in the price. There seems to be a general consensus bearing on that. I would think that, the situation is such that we have had about a 400-500 point rally from the lows. So the market could be in for some disappointment if no rate cuts happen. And I think that could be a little more than what people would like to have. So you might have the index pushing back to somewhere around 8200, 8250 on the futures if there were to be no rate cut, or if the statement which accompanies the rate cut is something saying like, this is it, we are not going to do anything more. So I think much would depend upon the statement of Governor Rajan rather than the actual quantum. Of course, 50 bips would be a very pleasant surprise for the market. So I think markets have not priced in 50 bips, but 25 bips most certainly seems to be priced in.
Dr. Narayan, give us some stock-specific ideas from today, either on the long side or on the short side.
Well, I think going out on a stock recommendation on a day when there's going to be a significant event is going to be a bit risky. Okay. But I think nevertheless, what I would choose to concentrate on is something which the market seems to be fond of already, and that which may not be significantly, let's say, impacted by the changes or lack thereof within the rates. I think one of the areas where the market has really been concentrating on is Voltas, and the stock has reported pretty decent earnings across all the segments, and the market has received this well. That's the main thing. The market has not been very, gung-ho about Voltas for a long time. It's been in a range. I think institutional players are picking this up. Traders are joining the fray. Voltas has moved to about 340. Okay, if you have a market pullback, it might come back a little, but then that would only give us another chance to buy. So I think if there is a pullback to around 325, 330 zone, I would most definitely look to buy into Voltas. I think that stock is on to another nice big range, which would have an upside nearly till about 400 rupees across. Let's say a couple of months or so. Another similar stock would be maybe BHEL, where again the street has kind of received the results pretty well, and there is again a lack of ownership or reduced ownership. I think people are looking for reasons to get into stocks, particularly the larger players, and the results give them a reason to get into it. This kind of creates an upward draft which traders can look to capitalize on, and therefore you would have a cushion of the big buyers at the lower levels, which would take care of any kind of reactions based upon any news or any localized event. So I think BHEL is another one that I would look for. Any rate sensitive, I would play it purely upon what emerges out of the day. If you have something good, then maybe in the real estate I would look at HDIL, but then they're all two-way plays, right? Today it's a make or break kind of situation for most of them. Within the banks, I would say most of the, let's say, private sector banks are reasonably well poised, particularly if you take the case of Yes Bank and maybe IndusInd Bank. These are two stocks which are reasonably well placed on the charts. I would not really chance my arm with any ICICI Bank or any other bank because they are not as well placed on the charts as the other two are. Axis has been trying to make further progress, but seemingly meeting up with some sort of selling. So Yes Bank and maybe Indus are the two picks within the banks. Public sector banks, I think the smaller names are the ones which are really doing themselves good. In that, Union Bank, Syndicate Bank actually come to mind because the charts on these have been much better performing as compared to, let's say, the larger peers like PNB and Bob and etc.
Okay, well, before I, elaborate more on banks with Sandeep, Dr. Narayan, what are the goalposts of the Nifty now? Is there a trade today, or would you wait for the credit policy to play out? What's like a likely downside and upside for the market?
See, in the light of the fact that we have rallied about 500 points from the low, I would definitely say that prudence demands that we wait for the bank, the banking meet. Because 500 points is a decent amount of move, after which you do see some sort of reactions. So I would wait for the bank policy before deciding further action. If I had pending long positions, I would probably choose to trim it a bit or seek some sort of protection on it. If I had, let's say, substantial profits, I would definitely choose to take some off the table. For the Bank Nifty, you have a range which is seemingly capped at about 19,000 on the top side. And on the lower side, 18,500 seems to be a decisive inflection point for Bank Nifty. And it gets deflected by at least a couple of 100 points on either side. So for the lower end of the Nifty, I mentioned about 82, 82.50 as being the inflection point. So I think pretty much 82.50 on the downside and about 85.50 on the upside is the range that I would play today. If everything is, let's say, ceteris paribus, that is what we would be in. If we get some sort of a spring of surprise, then we can see upsides on both sides. We would all love to be pleasantly surprised.
Dr. Narayan, thank you for joining us and giving us a trading idea.